Of course, talking about the Wisconsin judge who is indicted now for hiding, not only hiding, helping an escape, which, by the way, the person was caught almost immediately out the back door, essentially a jury door, while he was there being charged with counts of battery. And Will, I think we need to kind of back this up a little bit and tell the whole story and what happened here that then led to now a judge in Wisconsin having to go to federal court herself because of this situation.
That's right. So the individual who is in the country illegally actually had been deported once already, was scheduled to appear before this judge on the charges you talked about in the first segment of the broadcast. They were battery charges, so violent crime against another individual, actually two individuals in this case. And the attorney for the individual and the clerk alerted the judge that it appeared that there were members of ICE at the court that day. And that upset the judge. There were reports that she was visibly upset in the charging document. She came out and started to basically get in a heated exchange with the members of ICE. They tried to de-escalate it. She told them that they had to go see the chief judge, which they did. They did nothing to make this worse than it should have been. And she was the one who was visibly upset by them being there. Then when they left to go to see the chief judge to talk it through, the chief judge confirmed, yes, you have a warrant, which you had shown to the judge. You're allowed to be here. Just don't go into a courtroom and make an arrest. Wait till the proceedings are over and you're good to go. During that time, the judge looked around, tried to see if any other agents were there, missed one who was in plain clothes because they didn't come in body armor and things of that nature. They actually do these arrests at courthouses many times because they know it lowers the risk to the public and to the officers and to the individual being arrested because they have to go through security. They know they won't be armed.
It's a full process.
Yeah. It's actually a much safer place to make an arrest like this. Well, she then goes in, pulls the attorney for the illegal immigrant aside, and instructs the illegal immigrant to sit in the jury box. They discuss and then escort him through the jury chambers, through court chambers, non-public areas. And then the ICE agent that saw this take place notices they pop out a different door on the other side of the elevators, and then they pursue the individual, making the arrest shortly thereafter. But the victims of the crime were there for that hearing, and they were confused. The prosecutor was confused. What happened to the client? And they were told that matter has been dismissed for the day. We will return to it at another time. The entire charade that was put on was to help protect someone that was before her court on charges. Right. So, one, she's supposed to be an impartial arbiter of the law. She's already showing partiality in this case because she's helping the person escape.
Right. And when you look at this, I don't want to put words or thoughts into the brain of this judge. I haven't talked to her. None of us have. But in this moment, she thought, I'm a hero. I am doing the hero's work here. I am helping this person evade ICE, evade being deported. But again, as Will stated, we're not talking about some hero family man. We're talking about someone who's being charged for assaulting a woman and another man. Someone who had been deported already due to criminal engagement. This is not just, one of those sob stories, which I can sympathize with that and say, hey, even if it was the person on the other side, what if it was the person that was attacked? You go, okay, maybe you could give that person a little grace. But this is where it gets out of hand. And this is where, I think a lot of us have to take off our heart hat, if you will, and go, okay, where does this actually live in terms of the law? And not only the law, where does it live in terms of morality? Where is the morality in this? Look, I don't know if he wasn't convicted yet. He didn't have the opportunity to be convicted yet. So, of course, you're innocent until proven guilty. But you're not talking about someone who was brought up on these charges for nothing and for no reason. So now the judge herself has to be taken into court, into federal court. This is what, honestly, we're wasting our federal dollars on. Going after judges who are taking the law into their own hands and not even doing it in a way that a judge usually would be taking the law into their own hands by, as Will said, Scooby-Dooing someone out the back door so they can evade being caught federally.
And what you're also seeing here is why this is so dangerous. One, this is supposed to be a judge, someone that gives faith to the legal system, to the judicial system, to that process, and instead is tearing down Americans' faith in our very systems. But now you're starting to see that creep into Congress and other elected officials. We saw the mayor of Newark and also some members of Congress that stormed an ICE detention facility, broke in through the gate, crashed the gate. This wasn't them protesting or arranging some tour as oversight for members of Congress. This was trying to forcibly enter this facility. And when you start to have this trickle of bad behavior, this is the party, the Democrat Party, that will not stop talking about January 6th. And no matter how much condemnation or you look at the facts and say whatever about it, they will not give it up as the worst day in American history. And it was a bad day. But they're not leading by example in their party of saying, we follow the rule of law. We follow the proceedings of our government. They are trying to subvert things like warrants from a judge or breaking into detention facilities. They are leading by poor example. And the slippery slope you see here is not that America becomes less divided and more likely to have more civil conversations and debate. You are seeing the elected leaders do bad behavior, which is a bad signal to their constituents. And then you have, instead of the leadership of the party condemning it, you have statements like this from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is bite 3, where she's warning the administration about coming after members of her party. Let's go ahead and roll that.
They know that they cannot come for assault. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman, on Representative or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
She says we're going to have a problem. The minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, said this is a red line and they will find out what will happen if they try to do something like this. This is the same party that said President Trump has zero immunity, right? But yet all of a sudden, every member of Congress, because they're allegedly doing oversight by forcing themselves into a detention facility and getting into a physical altercation. The mayor of Newark was arrested. That is protected, that they are immune from. No, if you break the law, we are a nation of laws. You should be punished and tried if you have broken the law. And it goes to a grand jury. Charges are brought, grand jury, court process. They are trying to throw all of the constitutional norms out as they try to go over here and go over there and say there's a constitutional crisis. They are creating this in real time.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, these are talking points. These are something that AOC has been doing. And look, you know what's coming, and that is a presidential run for AOC. I mean, I think there's no way it doesn't happen in our lifetime, and there's no way it doesn't happen, by the way, I think, very soon, as she, I think, is now qualified to be able to do it, to be able to run. Look at those videos. She makes a big impact. Don't laugh at those things when they start happening, because it becomes morality. As I said, they're preaching a morality, not a law. So you're saying, they always go after conservatives for that. You're trying to, make your morality part of the law. They are actually doing the opposite, which is saying our morality may break the law, but therefore it is still superior and therefore more patriotic.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.